Hello peeps and welcome back to Modded Minecraft with Nightdagger, episode 49, the second. Yep, we're gonna see if it works a little bit better tonight. I'm recording in 32-bit fraps again. Screw 64-bit fraps. I got a lot of stuff I want to get done today, and I want to start off by, first of all, saying I'm an idiot. We're gonna come over here and we're gonna grab some glass fiber cable. And I actually have a lot of glass fiber cable, because what we are doing this episode is redoing our energy net. Now, I say I'm an idiot for a reason. And that reason is, I made a drastic mistake in my energy net. I have been having problems upon problems upon problems getting sufficient power to my machines. I have transformers on all of the machines. I've been wondering why my machines were flickering and why I had to have transformers on all the machines, and I figured it out. It only took me 49 episodes, but I figured it out. The problem came from an assumption that I made about how transformers work. I thought I knew how they worked. I was wrong. You don't hear YouTubers say that often, I know, it comes as a shock, but you see, I thought that a transformer that was upstepped, or a transformer in general, would happily output as many packets as you could throw into it. So like right here, I've got this cable going into this transformer. It's upstepped. So it's taking all of these little 2 and 3 and 4 EU per tick packets. Right now we're getting 1.4 EU out of this one. And it's upstepping them to a 512 packet, and it's running down the cable, and it's hitting that one. That's taking the packets until it gets 4 512s, and that sending that, and yeah, that's working perfectly fine, right? Well, I set up this, and I got a lightning strike on it. And I took a reading from my power line thinking, ooh, I wonder how much power I'm getting from 3 windmill farms and a lightning strike. And I was getting 2048 EU per tick. My wind farm stopped working because this had saturated the line. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wait a minute, why am I only getting 2048 EU per tick? Because each one of these should be generating quite a bit also. So I should be getting a lot more. I should be getting a lot more pass-through. Well, turns out that these transformers have a maximum amount that they can process in one tick. That amount is whatever the upper end is. So for an MV transformer like this, the maximum output per tick is 512 EU. For an HV transformer like this, it's 2048. For an LV transformer, it's 128. So, in my attempt to prevent cable loss, I'm actually reducing the total amount of power that can flow through this line to 2048 EU per tick, making this entire lightning rod, anytime it gets struck, is making my wind farm totally useless. How do we fix that? Well, we fix that by removing these transformers. And just putting a cable there. Just like that. Now, we are going to get a little bit of EU loss coming down the line. We're going to lose probably 2 or 3 EU per tick out of each packet. For right now, that's okay. If it becomes a major deal, we can come back and we can change this up again later. This one here also, we need to remove. We'll attach that there. We dig down into our basement here. We're going to see we've got another one here we got to get rid of. Now all of this is introducing a little bit of loss into the line. That's not something we can really avoid here. We're going to have a little bit of loss. It's going to happen. There's no getting around that. Next thing we have to deal with is if we fly up here, we're going to notice I've got transformers all over the frickin' place. They all have to go. Now, there's two ways that we can go about this. we could either have it running the same way we have had it always running, and, basically just supply power to all of the buildings and who cares about loss, or I can reroute my power grid in order to try and minimize cable loss. I've decided to go with option number 2. We're going to try and reroute as much of this as possible to cut cable loss. That means that all of these cables can go. It means that we're going to disconnect our GregTech machines from this line, and we're going to reroute a new power line for GregTech over this way. Now, I also had a power line that was going into the basement of my warehouse, and I'm not exactly sure why. So we're going to take a look at it and see if we can figure out why. I think it might be because I have it connecting to... What do I have it connecting to? We'll just dig out through here and see what's going on. Do I have it connecting to a logistics junction? No, I have it connected to my charge mat. Okay. So that power line does need to stay there. However, I can have a transformer on this, because that charge mat is the only thing that's running on this machine, and it can only pull so much energy. I don't necessarily need it to be able to pull my entire grid worth of energy. Right now it can pull 2048, and that's fine. That's all it needs to pull. So this transformer can stay here. However, this transformer needs to go. So we're going to pull him off. We're just going to replace that with some glass fiber. We may have introduced a little bit of loss into the line doing that. That's okay. If we lose 1 EU per tick out of each packet, it's still better than not being able to process maximum power. We're also going to remove this transformer. This transformer, however, we are going to move. We're going to put it up here. We're going to connect it right here. We're going to get on top of here and shift-click that so that the input face is facing down. And we are just going to connect a regular piece of glass fiber right there. That is going to get us a relatively short cable going into here. I'm also going to put a transformer here. Now, I'm not going to do it quite yet. Well, I am going to do it like right now. I'm just going to put it here. Now, the reason why I have these farms disconnected is because I am accumulating a bunch of crap in my chests. In particular, I have almost an entire diamond chest full of apples, and I need to do something with them. I don't want to run into overflow issues. So for right now, I have the farms kind of deactivated. I'll turn them back on again once I have a way to process the stuff that's going to them. Now, this leaves our industrial craft room, or our GregTech room. We're going to need to make a change over here too. And this is actually going to be a pretty drastic change. However, there's something else that I have prepared for this episode. In an effort to reduce cable loss and make absolutely sure that all of my machines can get the amount of power that they need, I'm going to take the 12 MFSUs plus 4 more that I crafted off camera, and we are going to use those MFSUs to create external power banks for both my industrial craft and my and my GregTech room. I've done the math off camera. My GregTech room here, if I were to completely fill this GregTech room with every type of machine that I want, 4 of these furnaces, 4 of these grinders, my implosion compressor over there, all 10 of my electrolyzers, all 10 of my centrifuges over there, I should only require 6 MFSUs in order to keep everything running at pretty much full power. I have decided to pad that number a little bit and do 8. We are going to connect these into the line over here in order to reduce the amount of cable that's being run through. This means that I need to have a power line running through somewhere over here. Now you can see over here I've just got a power line coming straight down. It was going into the floor there. We're going to do kind of the same thing, but we're going to do it in this corner. We're just going to bring it straight down through here. Alright, we're going to hollow out a little bit of area here because we're going to build a bank for MFSUs. And the MFSU bank is going to supply our Greg Tech room with power. Let's fly up here. Let's put in our cable right there. And we're just going to drag the cable over to here. We're going to connect it on the back of these transformers. We're going to run it straight over here. We're going to run it over 2 squares, maybe 3. We're going to bring it up. We're going to break the extraneous cable we had down there. And now we're going to go inside the Greg Tech room. And we're going to run our cable down. We'll drop down in here. We'll connect that there, and now we're going to set up the MFSUs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. How do I want to do this? I think I want to have this go back over here now. And I want to have it kind of duck down behind. So we're going to run it over here. We're going to have it duck down in behind here. 5, 6, 7, 8. Not really sure I like this. I might just bring it in from the outside right here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to bring it into the ground here. This seems needlessly complex. Seeing as we're trying to go for simplicity here, make our lives easier, we should try and cut out some of this. You rotten bastard. Get out of my room. Alright. We're going to run our cable in behind here. Just like that. We're going to fly up. We're going to place cable in like this. And now, when I connect this cable, if we are not getting any loss in this system, we should be able to pull a full 4096 EU per tick through this line. Let's see, 512, 1048. Yeah, we should be pulling a full 4096 through this line. Let's go ahead and connect it and take a reading. 4096 in, 4096 out. Awesome. Now, we're getting a little bit of variance, but I think that's because I've also got a few machines passively running on this. But that's what we wanted to see. Now here, we need to transform these down at point of receipt. So, right here, I have an MV transformer. This will transform 512 down. Alright? Here I'm going to have another one. That's going to feed second blast furnace. That'll be the third blast furnace. This will be the second grinder. Grinders can also run on 128. Here's for the first grinder. That'll be another grinder, another blast furnace. The only time things are going to get a little bit tricky is when I need, and you can see I already have MV transformers on all these lines over here. I already have Yeah, LV transformers on these over here. I am going to probably have to add a second transformer here in order to provide enough power pulse to these. Although I might not worry about that yet. I might see if I run into issues with it first. Because each one of these can pull 32. There's 10 of them. So maximum pull of 320, 256. I would actually need 3 of these in order to guarantee that it's going to work properly. Let's go ahead and hook up this power line and get it all connected in. I don't like that. So let's break that cable there. We'll put one there. Yeah, I'm not a real huge fan of this. Well, based on how I have this, it kind of has to be that way, doesn't it? I mean, I could break this and simplify the grid just a little bit by having a cable run over here, connect it like that. I'm not sure if I like that either. Well, I mean, it works. Alright, anyway, long and the short of it is we now have a power connection over here. We can remove our main connection right here. I'm just going to break this for the moment to make sure I don't fry anything. We're going to remove this cable and we're going to replace that. We're now running off of these MFSU banks over here entirely for our Greg Tech room. These MFSUs will fill up nicely off of our main power bank. And it looks like we're doing pretty good filling those. And let's see here. I think I'm just going to leave this well enough alone for the moment. I probably will come back here off camera and put in a couple more NV transformers just to make sure I can pulse full packets. And how are we looking? I've kind of got a loop there, but it's not a feedback loop because nothing connects to the input. So it's okay. It'll work. If I have my gravitation engine on that whole time, burning off power like mad. Alright, so we've got the first banks in. We can remove all of this. And can also remove this transformer. Now that is going to have the side effect of breaking our lights, which is not good. So we're going to have to move the power control for our lights. We can also remove this entire cable, which we'll do later. But right now, we need to get our lights fixed. So let's go ahead and remove this transformer. We're going to take this transformer and we're going to put it on the line over here. Just right here. And we're just going to run a cable up to it from right here. Oops. There we go. Lights are reconnected to the power grid. We're all hunky-dory. Shouldn't be any loss on this line. If there is, don't really care. Let's count it out just to be safe. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 3, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, we're only getting like 27 cable length here, so we're okay. Alright, that takes care of our Greg Tech room. Our Greg Tech room is rewired in order to be sound with the energy net. We can remove all of this cable because it's now completely extraneous. We can remove this transformer. We're going to end up with a lot of transformers left over after this. And we want to leave that one there. Alright, so step 1 done. Step 2, revamp our industrial craft grid. We're going to have to do kind of the same thing here. We've got some changes we got to make here, and I've got something on the wall that I want to show you guys before I go any further. I was also debating, and by the way, the reason why I was thinking about all this today is I was bored at work and I needed something to do, and it occurred to me, hey, I could do this and this and this. That's kind of how I decide what I'm doing for my episodes. I think about it while I'm at work. But each one of these induction furnaces will use about, or that's not an induction furnace, each one of these induction furnaces will use about 1 EU per tick in maintenance. When they're running, they'll use about 16 to run at full speed. So these things are actually pretty efficient. Now, if you remember in the past, I have made comments of I didn't usually use the induction furnaces because at maximum speed, if you're willing to spend the power, they can be overclocked to be faster than induction furnaces, the regular electric furnaces can. Well, I got to thinking, how fast is too fast? I came over to my macerators and I did some math to figure out the optimal number of overclockers from an energy standpoint. Obviously, more is better from a speed standpoint, but when I had Milo, Alex, good kid, move your tail. All right, when I had 12 overclockers in each one of these things, if I had all of the macerators running at once, they were flickering. I couldn't provide enough power to keep them all running at once. I was wondering what the heck was going on. I took a power reading from these things, and with 12 overclockers, each one uses 562 EU per tick to run. So I did some math. With 12 overclockers, 562 EU per tick. It takes 19.71 seconds. I timed it with a stopwatch. Stop. I actually timed it with a stopwatch. And then I did the math. 562 EU per tick, 26 per second, 19.71 seconds, 221,540 EU per stack. I dropped it down to 11 overclockers. 351 EU per tick. Takes 28.84 seconds. So it takes about 10 seconds longer. But it reduced the power consumption a little bit. I dropped it down to 10 overclockers, and holy crap! The power consumption dropped to 219 EU per tick. The speed went up to 35.37 seconds for a stack, so it only added about another 7 seconds onto the previous one, but it cut the power consumption over half, 69,714 EU per stack. Take another one out, power consumption goes back up. And then with 8 and 7, the power consumption starts going down again, but now you're getting into speeds that aren't going to fly when you're doing massive amounts of production like I am. 10 overclockers is the magic number. So each one of my macerators now has 10 overclockers. I left the compressor alone because I wanted to be able to compress as fast as possible. I left the recyclers alone because 9 overclockers pulls about 68 EU per tick and processes blindingly fast. There's no reason to go any faster. Doing the math in here, I would again need a little over 6 MFSUs in order to handle this at full load. I've again decided to round up to 8. So, let's go ahead and start revamping our grid in here. Oops, not the right one to break out, huh? Let's break out this one. There we go. Now, things are going to get a little ugly here, because we are feeding power all over the place for this room. We're feeding power over here to these HV transformers, which are supplying the macerators. We're feeding power over to here, where it's feeding into the induction furnaces. Now, the induction furnaces are not capable of pulling full packets, so I need to come through here and I need to put an MV transformer on each one of these. The reason I haven't done it yet is because my system here is getting in the way. I have a pipe here that I have to figure out what to do. I may just end up running... I don't know, I may just end up putting... Well, actually, I can't put a transformer on each one of these things, because if I do that, they're going to get redstoned from the lever attached to each one of each third one. So, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm just going to have to put probably another transformer here. Because I have 10 of these things. I need to be able to pull packets to supply 10. And then if you look over here, let's dig out this right here. We've also got our compressor running off of HV current, and then we've got our recyclers running off HV current. So most everything here is running off HV direct. We don't really need to tinker with this too much. We're going to tear out a little bit of the floor here. Power's been coming down through here. I see no reason to change that. It's just going to feed straight into... Actually, I do need to change that. I'm going to have an HV transformer on these lines, or I'm going to blow up the induction furnaces. Alright, so let's see here. How do we want to do this? Let's go ahead and get the MFSU banks in first, and then we'll figure out what we're doing. So power's going to come in through here. Probably run it back here. And then I'll just have the MFSU line. Let's see. We're going to end up moving these, I think, 1 square forward in order to make this work. Let's go ahead and set the MFSU line right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Maybe not so good, because now I'm going to run into an issue there, aren't I? I'm going to connect into the top of the MFSU line, and I don't want it to do that. It shouldn't matter, but for aesthetic value, I don't want it to do that. Let's move the line one more. There we go. We'll do it like that. And now, what we'll do is we're going to break this line right here. Because that's feeding nothing but the recyclers and the compressor. They can run off of straight HV, no problem. We'll connect that up like that. We're going to run a power line back through here to connect into the back of the MFSU line. And I need to break out one more of each, don't I? Yeah. 7, 8, there we go. Connecting this should start pulling 1040 or 4096 through this line, or pretty close. Might be because the other MFSUs are still filling up on the other side. Right now I'm kind of filling 16 MFSUs off of 2 AESUs. So I'm kind of straining my power supply at the moment. while we're at it, let's go ahead and move this crap. We're going to move it one space this way. We'll just connect in like that. It's fine. Pull both of these. We're going to attach those over here. Now, on here, we're also going to have an HV transformer on each one. Or actually, no, we don't need an HV transformer on here, do we? No, we don't need one of those. We just need to connect it right like that. It's pulling an HV current anyway, right? Let's break that. Pull this transformer out. Connect that, just like that. And we're in good shape there. Now, we've got a small problem here, don't we? I'm actually kind of lucky that didn't blow up. Wasn't really thinking that one through as clear as I should have been. Turn that up, connect that to there, and now the recyclotron is reconnected. We're probably going to want to have one more HV transformer, and I'm probably going to put it right here. Or MV transformer, rather. Yeah, probably just put it right there. This logistics power junction I probably should have put down here, but no, then it wouldn't connect, so we're good. It's okay. We're starting to get some power into here. Let's put down a torch and make sure we don't have mob spawns back here. And that should get us fully functional again from industrial craft standpoint. Let's fly up here and go about changing up our lighting for here. Right now I have it going into an MV, an LV, and an HV transformer. Well, this stuff kind of needs to move. Just a bit. We'll pull that, we'll pull that. We're going to have cable coming in here, just like that. It's going to feed straight down. Over here, we're going to have our LV, our MV, and we're just going to have our HV right here. I'm going to break this cable in order to prevent any possible boom. Shouldn't get one, but can never be too safe, especially when dealing with anything Greg Tech related. And our lights should now be able to pull power again. If we come over and check our power supply in our supply room, our AESUs are dying quick. It's because we're pulling a crap load of power into our new power base. If we want to see how much, all we got to do is come over here, where I totally didn't connect this properly, did I? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, that MFSU is totally full, 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 full. Okay, all of these MFSUs are full. Which means if we fly back out of here and go back to the industrial craft room now, and check the power line coming in here, we should be getting a full 4096. Yep. 4096 in, 4096 out. Take a reading from down here, we'll get the same thing. That means we've got no power loss in that line whatsoever. Our transformers are feeding the induction furnaces here. Let's go ahead and make another transformer so that we can get those running. Unless I already have one. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, we've got 19 spare transformers now. Alright, let's grab us some refined iron. Let's find us some gold cable. And let's make us one more MV transformer. Just like that. Let's make another one for good measure. Just in case. There we go. 2 more MV transformers. We'll put those down in the basement of the industrial craft room, and then our rewiring project here should be about complete. We're going to connect one of these transformers. How are we going to do this? Because if I put any more over here, it's going to get in the way of the recycler. I guess I could have it feed into the line from over here, huh? It's a little wonky, but it'll work. Alright, break that out. And we want to have this line from over here come back into here. Back over here. I don't want it to run too far before going into the transformers. So let's drop it down and we'll just have it go into the transformers right here. So we'll break that, put another line there, transformer on that, transformer on that, reconnect the line here, 2 more output lines there to connect to our input right here. Efficient wiring is a pain in the ass. It's either energy efficient, or it's resource efficient, or it's aesthetically efficient. Trying to get all 3 at once sucks. Why do I have 2 logistics power junctions on here? Oh, because this is a totally separate logistics network. Never mind. Alright, so we now have a total of 4 transformers in line here that are capable of supplying our induction furnaces with power, so we should never run into any power choke issues with them. We have 8 MFSUs supplying our macerators over here. And I don't technically need these on here anymore, but I'm going to leave them anyway. Because why not? These things are starting to fill up nicely. We should be able to get those near full, if not totally full, from our current power supply. So I think that is going to do everything we need to do for our project here. One minor change. I'm going to take the transformer off of this line. Oh, I have no connection into this line here, do I? There we go. I'm just going to take sometimes this drill is too fast. I'm just going to take this transformer here, I'm going to place it right on here. Right there. Walk over here, give him a shift right click. Wait, yeah. Give him a shift right click right there in order to face the input side over that way. I'm just going to connect that like that. Nice and neat looking. Gives us a little more breathing room down here. Alright, I think that's going to do it for our rewiring project for this episode. There are a couple of things that I want to cover before I wrap up, though. Number one, like I said in my little technical difficulties video that I put up, we've hit 500 subscribers. Yay! By the time I get this thing uploaded, we may be at 250,000 views. Double yay! Awesome stuff. Loving it. Loving that you guys are actually sitting here watching me do this stuff. I know it gets boring sometimes, but at least I hope you guys are learning something out of this. I mean, that's part of the reason why I do things the way I do, and I don't do a lot of building off camera, at least not, technical stuff, because I make mistakes, we all do, and the only way to learn is to either make the mistakes yourself or watch someone else make them. So, I'm making the mistakes, so you don't have to. That was stupid. Speaking of making mistakes, huh? Alright, second of all, and this kind of hit on a personal note a little bit. I had one of my subscribers, and I'm not going to call him out by name, but one of my subscribers the other day posted a comment on one of my videos that I actually found rather offensive. It was something to the effect of, "What the hell? When are we going to get episode 49 of Mod of Minecraft? Your subscribers are waiting. Give us our episodes." You know what? I'm human. I have a life. I have a full-time job. I don't make anywhere near enough off of YouTube to support myself, much less me and my girlfriend. On that subject, I do have a girlfriend. And I burn out just like everyone else. So, yes, it has been 5 days since I put up a Mod of Minecraft video. I was playing other games. Get off my case. I like to relax every once in a while, too. Alright, anyway, all ranting aside, I decided I wasn't going to go into huge detail with the rants because there's really no point in beating a dead horse. I made my point. Just don't push your YouTubers. We put a lot of effort in producing stuff for your enjoyment, and demanding stuff out of us kind of comes off as a dick move. So, please don't. Anyway, this has been Nightdagger with Let's Play Mod of Minecraft episode 49, the second. Episode 50, we are going to come back and we are going to check on the status of our AESUs. I'm going to build another wind tower or two off camera here in order to get some more power generation, and then I think next episode we're also going to start working on some more power generation so that we can start filling up our AESUs so that we can start producing some wonderful, tasty UU matter. Hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I will catch you guys later.